This video is sponsored by the Johnny Depp Willy Wonka movie, which we probably shouldn't like, but our childhood, at least mine, says that it was pretty damn good. Is that just me? I don't know. Wonka was directed by Paul King and released in theaters this past weekend. The film stars Timothée Chalamet as Willy Wonka. I'm pretty sure that's how you say his last name. And today I'm here to talk about it. So if you haven't seen Wonka yet and you want to get through this review without hearing any chocolatey spoilers, then the spoiler section will be right there. You can click off before that, go watch the movie, and come back and hear my spoilery thoughts. I didn't have a huge reaction when I first heard of the idea for this one. I thought, oh, okay, it's going to be alright. This is still a really solid musical. I enjoyed quite a lot of the songs in this one. There was one that I really did not like. It's called Scrub Scrub, and it's about all these people cleaning clothes and stuff. You'll see once you watch the movie, or if you've already have watched the film, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that song got on my nerves. But getting into the actual elements of the film that I really liked, Timothée Chalamet is really, really great in this role. He has that energy that Gene Wilder had. He has that gleefulness, that hopefulness about him, and I thought maybe what this movie was going to do, since it's that typical origin story where someone comes from nothing and gets their dream come true, right? I thought they were going to do something where he becomes greedy and selfish for a bit, and then he has to learn his lesson. No, they don't do that, and I'm very glad, because I'm so tired of that cliche used in these kind of stories, and this story doesn't use that, so I was happy to see that. So he has a bunch of friends here. He has Noodle, who is pretty good. She's a great side character. She is this orphan that is at this inn that Wonka comes to stay at. Olivia Colman plays this kind of the head of that inn, along with this other guy. I forget what his name is, the actor. But they were really fun in their roles. They're very some weird. No other way to say it but to say there's some weird shit that happens with those characters. But anyway, Wonka himself, like I said, he's very great, very gleeful. He comes to the Gallery Gourmet to pitch his chocolate he's been working on, while a little orange man, played by Hugh Grant, is following him around trying to steal his chocolate. And I'll say this right now, I don't know if you would consider this a spoiler, but Hugh Grant isn't in the movie for as long as you might think he would be. When I first saw the trailer and saw him in there, I thought, oh, this is gonna be like, I don't know, our buddy, not buddy cop, but like, you know what I'm talking about, where you have a movie where there is a character that has this comedic, character next to him that kind of follows him throughout the movie, and they have some banter and stuff like that. Kind of like Shrek and Donkey, that kind of duo there. Which nowadays it's done to death, and it's not nearly as well done as Shrek and Donkey. So I thought that was going to be the case, but no, Hugh Grant's character, the Oompa Loompa, he isn't in the movie for that long. He comes in, he makes his presence known, we get an idea of what he's after, why he's in the film to begin with, and he comes back later on in the story when it's most convenient, and he doesn't overstay his welcome, and honestly, some of the stuff with him is pretty funny. There was one joke that maybe stretched on a little bit too long, but other than that, I didn't have a problem with him whatsoever. And sure, Hugh Grant, his face on an orange man, on an Oompa Loompa, little weird, little distracting, but it's kind of a give and take kind of film. There's a lot of great elements, so the stuff that doesn't quite work, I didn't really pay too much attention to weigh down the film. There is a lot to like here, like I said. You have Slugworth and his other two friends. They form the Chocolate Cartel, which is not a joke. It's a legit thing within the film. They're like, we are the Chocolate Cartel, and we do not want Wonka selling his chocolate here in our area. And like they pull a gun on it. I don't know if is that a spoiler? They pull a gun on him. Okay, it's a Chocolate Cartel. Come on. So they pull a gun on him. They do all these crazy things to try and get Wonka to stop selling chocolate whatsoever. It's a one big grand ordeal of craziness with those guys. And I really did enjoy their villainous, banter they have back and forth with each other. I believe it's Slugworth, Prodnose, and I forget the third guy, but he has this joke, this running gag. There's a lot of great running gags in this, where if you say the word poor, he gags a little bit. He's one of those guys. And, but no, I didn't find them annoying. Some of the side characters that Willy Wonka teams up with, I didn't care for too much, because some of their quirks weren't, they weren't funny. There's a guy, for example, I don't think this is a huge spoiler. You're not going to be disappointed if you learn this. There's a guy that is, an aspiring comedian, and he's always telling these jokes that, are not funny, even though it's supposed to be funny that he's not funny, but not being funny isn't funny. So, it doesn't really work for me, anyway. But that's a minor detail. Rowan Atkinson is in this one. Mr. Bean, he has a great moment with the giraffe in here, which was pretty funny. But yeah, like I said, I'm trying to think of anything to get to before I get to the spoilers, because there's a lot of spoilers in this if you want to get into the meat of the story. So, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and give it a score. So, I give Wonka an 8 out of 10. I really loved the songs. The visuals are very pleasing. The cast is very delightful. Timothy is just... I would watch another Wonka movie with him. I really would. It's not overstaying its welcome too much. It's not overly trying to get you to laugh. There is a lot of heart in there amongst that laughter, the comedy. There's a lot of things that will, kind of make you think, yeah, this really is a great family movie. This is a good one to watch with your family, for sure. I agree with that. So, yeah, I'll see you guys for the spoiler section. So, entering the spoilers, I'm going to try and keep it brief here. So, Wonka comes to the Gallery Gourmet to pitch his idea for this new chocolate. The chocolate cartel is threatened by this. So, long story short, they make this deal with him towards this end of the second act. And they're like, look, you leave, and I will pay off your debts, because he owes debt to Olivia Colman's character in this inn, and I will pay off the debts of all these other friends, including Noodle, the comedian guy I mentioned, and a few others that are in there with him that have to pay off their debt. So, he agrees to this, he leaves town, he agrees I will stop making chocolate, but turns out Slugworth ended up paying the guy that's driving Wonka away from town to just fucking blow up the boat. So, they were literally going to murder him. This is a serious chocolate, action movie. If you really think about it, this is an action movie, but about chocolate. And, luckily Wonka, with the help of the Oompa Loompa, he kind of builds himself back up. He's like, hey, you know what? I don't have to take this from these guys, because he realizes that Noodle is actually a relative of Slugworth, so he's kind of using that as leverage. And it turns out he gets off the boat, he returns, he gets all of his friends out of the pickle that they're in, and it turns out they actually want to help him take back the Gallery Gourmet. So he has this shop that the chocolate cartel ruined because they poisoned the chocolate. They're like, you know what? We're going to sneak back into this cathedral where they have all the chocolate, and we're going to take this manual that has all of these different things wrote down that, these shady deals that the cartel has made with, the police. Like, Keegan-Michael Key's character in this, he is very integral to the plot because the cartel pay him to basically get Wonka away, and they honestly tell him, you could kill him if you want. It's like, what the hell? This is the biggest ordeal over chocolate I've ever seen in my life. And Wonka gets this idea to steal this manual and show the police and oh, this is going to clear this is going to clear my name, it's going to clear everybody's name and tell the people that the chocolate cartel are really bad. So, they end up succeeding, but, there's obviously bumps in the way. They almost get drowned in chocolate, of course. They lock him in this giant container, and they're like, we will now drown you with chocolate, and you will die. It's like, that's gonna contaminate your chocolate. What? Because, you remember Gene Wilder was like, oh, please get out of the chocolate river, it will contaminate my chocolate. These guys don't care, apparently, because they're like, we're going to drown you in our chocolate. And they're like, what, were they going to sell it? I'll tell you, this is some crazy drama. Uh, and they obviously don't succeed in drowning Wonka. The Oompa Loompa helps him out of there and actually makes the chocolate explode out of this fountain, so they lose all of the chocolate, which is a pretty good ending. And I really like the amount of heart that this story has, because Wonka tells us that his mother passed away, but she told him that when he achieved his dream of opening a shop in the Gallery Gourmet and, you know, making the best chocolate there ever was, that she would be there by his side to celebrate. And in the final act of the film, he does succeed, obviously, and he looks out and he just sees, you know, obviously she's not there, but he sees his mom, and they have a nice moment there. I really did enjoy that. There's a nice level of heart to this movie because, sure, the original Willy Wonka is very wacky and very out there, but you have to admit there is a massive beating heart to that movie. In Charlie and Willy Wonka, that connection. Also with Grandpa Joe, there's just a lot of wholesome stuff in that one, and they get really good wholesome moments in this one. So I appreciated that greatly. And yeah, I'm honestly, anything else, I want to kind of leave that to you guys to go explore, go see the movie if you haven't already. I know if you're watching this section, you probably have. But if by chance you just checked out the spoilers anyway, please, don't spoil this for yourself any further. Go watch Wonka because it is a great time for the family. Bring your kids if you have them. Bring your friends. It's just a good time. So that's going to be it for this movie review. I hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you guys for the next one, which should be Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. I wonder how much time Amber Heard's going to have in that one. See you guys.